Hello, Harstem, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again, because the mech players are out creeping, sieging tanks while I was sleeping, and the counter that was planted in my brain has been patched by Imba Terrans. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow chokes of nasty trades. Neath the halo of the Viper, I turned my collar to the Vikings and tanks, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of the massive Thors that spilled my army and touched the sound of StarCraft. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 mech units, maybe more. Terrans playing without thinking, tell me something new. Terrans turtling without fighting. Terrans making pushes that make the Zerg players scared. And no one dared disrupt the march of Imba Thors. This parody on The Sound of Silence by Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel was submitted by Dvorak NZ, a North American platinum player at 2719 MMR. And in the added anything else section, it says, the Viper changes Imba. It allows Terran to turtle and A-move in lower leagues. So the question here is Terran mech Imba? Or does he suck? Let's figure it out. And this is going to be our first Is it Imba or do I suck in the new patch. Viper not capable of abducting tanks anymore. I was very surprised by this change. I was surprised when it happened last time against the mothership. And now I was surprised that it happened this time for the tank as well. The tank cannot be abducted anymore, which is funny because when the Viper got introduced, or when it gets introduced to you, I think in the campaign, the thing that you have to do is abduct the tank, which now is going to be really weird. I'm not sure how many new players StarCraft 2 still gets that go through the campaign and the tutorials and are like, the Viper, cool, I can abduct tank, and then think that the game is bugged when they take it to the multiplayer. Gonna get the surprise of a lifetime. Probably need to change that as well in the campaign, but oh well, who am I to complain about the campaign? As our barcode meching Terran is gonna scout the right side of the map, make sure there's no gold base over here. Absolutely honorable thing to do. Wild, by the way, that we can be at 2.7k MMR and Terran players feel the need to stay anonymous. Now, there can be multiple reasons why they want to stay anonymous. Reason one is because they play a build so dumb that they don't want it tied to their real name. You know, this is a completely fair thing. Like, they might get flamed more often if they're playing on a real account, because people, you know, it's like it's a real person behind it and you want to flame them. But a barcode, like a faceless Terran fool, you're really going to flame them? No. Like, you can't build up a bad reputation on the barcode. I think that's what this is for. It could also just be that he wants to hide his playstyle. So people are like, oh, a barcode in platinum level. I bet this guy is going to play an honorable macro game with bio tank and showing off his cool splits. No, like, whenever you see a barcode and they're not like high level players, they always do something dumb. Every cannon rusher is freaking barcoding as well. The 4Xers, they barcode. The dudes that leg hack, the map hackers, they all barcode as well. It doesn't hide anything. Like, if anything, it's a warning sign. You know, it's absolutely a warning sign that there's something seriously wrong with you. Like, it is not hiding anything. Like, this is like the guys that go to children's playgrounds with like the long coats. It's like, and then have nothing underneath, and then you know, they show it to the kiddies. It's like the long coat isn't hiding what you're doing. Like, if you were gonna do it, probably make a lot more sense to wear like normal clothes that you just like put together with Velcro or something. So at least it's a little bit less obvious. Like, we're looking for a guy in a very long coat that could cover his entire naked body beneath this. It's like, they're gonna find you. Like, you're gonna be the only person wearing that. You're wearing freaking Velcro jeans. Fop! Pull it open. Much better. I think it's the same with mech players. They should just have a normal name. So I should be called John Smith. If you're gonna open, what the hell is this? Armory +1 vehicle weapons to go for a mine drop with drilling claws. If you're gonna play a build like this, your name should just be freaking John Smith. Like Joshua Turner build. You know, this is what you do. Like, this is absolutely what you do. You don't go for it. You don't do this on a barcode, okay? You're gonna get caught and you're gonna go to jail because it's not okay to do that at a children's playground. John Smith, gotta stop it. Gotta stop it. Okay, what do we have? We have a Roach Rush. This is a build and a half as well out of Dvorak, New Zealand. A Roach Rush with +1 range already done. How early was this Evo chamber? Holy crap. My boy got out the fastest +1 in the world to make sure that the queens can deal more damage against like Banshee harass, or what is it? He's gonna go for Glial Reconstitution, move across the map with 8 roaches. Is 8? Is 8 roaches, gets 3, 4 more. I'm not sure if the roach speed is really necessary because it doesn't really help with the timing of this push. Roach speed is gonna finish the moment the roaches arrive. I think it probably would have been better to do this off of hatchery tech. Maybe even without the +1 attack and just hit 2 minutes or like a minute and a half faster. Though there's a decent worker count behind this as well, 37. There's going to be... No, there's not going to be mines. The mines are going across the map for the famous +1 vehicle weapon drilling claws drop while having a Viking and a bunker at home to defend. What's the chance this is going to get repaired? Oh, pretty big. But the roaches, look at this. The ultimate play. Going to snipe the refinery, just running past the bunker. It's actually a fairly genius play, if I'm being real honest. Drilling claws drop is going to move across the map. Thor is going to come out in a couple of seconds, so that is helpful. Good SCV micro as well. Like, hold position here is absolutely correct. And now we're going to go for the repair on the Thor, which is also kind of correct. I still feel like that if all roaches are fighting at this point, you're just kind of going to win the fight. I could be wrong, but I think these 7 extra roaches would definitely help. Mine drop is still idling on the map, and we're floating 1700 minerals and 300 gas behind this. Now, I'm not really someone that likes to point out that macro is important, but macro is important. And maybe rather than microing your units, you could have maybe pulled away your drones against the drop, or just continued macroing and spend some of your, your hard-earned cash. Although I say that, you actually also won the game on the other side of the map. So really, there's many roads that lead to Rome in this game. As all roads do lead to Rome. All roads for Zerg apparently also lead to victory against the 4 mine drilling claws build that hits at 6 minutes and 20 seconds and then has a single Thor and a Viking for defense. So, am I a huge fan of this build? No. Has it worked? Yes. It is 14 workers to 25. Dvorak, New Zealand, has 2200 minerals in the bank, has managed to supply block his opponent on 35 out of 30. Now, once again, is going to send in 1/3 of his army at the time to deal with this tank. Now sends another 1/6 of the army over. Just kind of trickling in units to make it easier to defend. This is really the campaign experience, It's like, here is a wave, here's a wave. Like, when you're fighting against... like one of these dudes in the campaign, Kerrigan is like, oh, we have lots of Zerg forces, but rather than starting with our strongest ones, we're first gonna send you a wave of 10 Lynx and 2 Roaches. And like 15 minutes later, they have like 12 Ultras. It's like, whoa, that's great. Maybe next time you should send those before I build up to 35,000 tanks. Just send in 2 Ultras. It's like, let's first test the water with 12 Lynx while they're weak. It's like, no. Test the waters with like 18 Broodlords and 6 IODIS going up. Kerrigan is putting a stick up the bum of of Alarak or whoever the hell they're fighting against. It's like, this makes no sense. They're always going, it's the same as it. This is someone that is inspired by the campaign, but not by the person who's winning the campaign, which should be you, but by the opponents. This is someone that never finished the campaign and think that the ultimate, because they couldn't beat it, the ultimate strategy is to trickle in units bit by bit to make it easier for the opponent to hold, which so far has been working out perfectly because the opponent did manage to hold despite being completely dead. Still completely dead, by the way. 30 supply against 69. It's not a great look. Carapace upgrade now going up. Absolutely hate seeing that. This is not going to be the reason why you lose the game, but it is incorrect. Against mech, you want to go for melee upgrades and range upgrades. And if you're playing a range composition, you get range upgrade level 2 here rather than the Carapace. The Carapace doesn't add so much when you're dealing with such high impact units like the Thor tank. It's just not as... they have a very slow rate of fire. So having more attack yourself is just going to be significantly more impactful. It's a way higher leverage. Meanwhile, our Terran player is going to go for +3 vehicle weapons, despite so far only having a single tank out, 9 minutes and 10 seconds into the game. There are very many different ways right now Dvorak could win this, and all of them probably would actually force him to spend his cash. Although with 40 supply of Roach Ravager, I think you can maybe just run in here and win the game. I mean, Nidus would win, Mura would win, Swarmhost would win, Roach would win, Like, there's really many things you could do. Hydralist then is probably one of the weaker choices that you have right now if you're in such a commanding lead. But I guess if you use it to kill the Liberators, then it might be okay. I just feel like Biles are good enough here. Like, you walk in with 5 Ravagers, you bile these 2, overseer to spot the high ground, or just run up the ramp. Like, there's a single tank. Like, even in general, just getting any type of scouting right now would be great to see what your opponent is doing, because this is the wildest thing I've seen in my life. This is a single production structure going into 5 command centers. Freaking 5 CC off of a single factory. Like, this is not a very common approach to things. As this Liberator is now going to move across the map, you should be capable of punishing this, right? Like, you absolutely should be... This is a very punishable type of thing. Like, there's nothing to defend, and you have a lot of units that can attack. So you should be capable of winning this. Okay, here we go. Some nice Ravager. These both miss, don't they? Oh, no, they hit. What the hell? The freaking hitbox on the Liberator is huge. Yeah, I was going to flame him for those biles, but that was decent. Usually, so there's this thing called the... I don't know what this is called. It has a name, though. Like, this little ground thing. This is where you want to target your spells, because then you always hit. So I thought maybe if you put it too far to the right, and it won't hit, but... Yeah, you have this what is this called? There's a freaking name for it. Hamster's gonna put it on the screen. So it's gonna make fun of me for not knowing what it's called, despite playing this game for 15 years. Well, maybe if you weren't such a nerd hamster, you also wouldn't know it. I think if anything, that is a bonus, not knowing it. You know, I managed to reach great skill in StarCraft 2 without knowing all of the details. Okay, there's a reason why I am getting, you know, to semifinals of weekly cups on a bi-monthly basis. And, you know, you're editing the videos. It's because I don't know this type of stuff. Flyer Helper. It's called the Flyer Helper, Hamster. So I did know after I looked it up. All right. +2 range comes out. Finally. We still haven't really had an attack. A few minutes later. But luckily now we do have an attack coming in, as the Roach Hydra comes in just before muscular augments. I always like attacking into positions just before upgrades finish up. He sees that there's going to be 2-3 tanks. Goes for a flank now with the Hydra. This is an interesting setup for sure. So far not synchronized quite yet. No vision, by the way, of what is going on. Like, Overseers, Changelings would be great. Here we go. Walks into the right side tanks with a portion of the army, then walks into the left side tanks with the rest of his army. This kind of looked like a flank towards this area, but the right side just got cleared by the tanks that were in the middle. It would have been better to have the entire army on the left, so you wouldn't have to deal with those tanks over here. Hydras continue kind of chasing into nothingness. This is the problem if you don't have an objective. Like, if your objective is to kill this base, you can do it without dying to the tanks. And now you could just run back. Like, you've reached your objective. But very often people go into fights without an objective. Like, the objective shouldn't be to lose all your units just so you can produce the same army again. Like, the objective should be, I want to kill X, or I want to kill Y, or I want to do this. But if you have no objective, then often you get kind of caught into fights because you can never leave. You know, it's like, what the hell are we actually doing here? So you can never succeed either and then go home. You know, you end up staying way too long. And then you end up pulling out in 2021 in a very chaotic way. This is the same in real life as in StarCraft 2. If you have no straight goal as to what you want to go for, then it just tends to end up in chaos. Creep spread is phenomenal, by the way. Okay? If our boy Dvorak NZ would have invested as much time into spending the cash as he did into getting all these creep tumors across the map, he might have already been onto the hive into freaking Brute Lords and 150 workers at this point. Like, it is actually crazy how good this creep spread is. Despite there, of course, being no creep denial, like, a lot of attention has been focused on this creep spread. It's even worse if you're lower level to focus this much on creep spread, because it has such low leverage in these types of games against mech. Like, if you're someone that has, like, what is this, like 50 supply? 150 supply, APM. If you have like 150 APM and you're spending like 30 or 40 APM a minute on freaking spreading creep, like, that is probably the worst use of your APM that you could have. Like, if so much of your attention is going to doing something that's going to have no influence on the game whatsoever, you know you're doing it wrong. Like, absolutely. Like, this is like starting to write a song and then focusing 90% of your time on what the album cover is gonna look like, and then forgetting that you can't actually sing or write music or play piano or turn on a computer to record the song. Like, these would be way more impactful, and it's the same here. Like, the creep, it's not gonna move the needle whatsoever. What's gonna happen eventually is that this mech player is going to have a huge army, is going to move across the map, ignore all the creep because they have planetaries on every base and thus can't scan, and then kill you because your army consists of 35,000 Hydras and Lynx against someone that is building the ultimate Terran late game army. Now, also floating insane amount of resource. Like, you're actually outmining your opponent significantly, yet you're not doing anything with it because you're not trading out. Like, if you're outmining your opponent by a lot, you want to take out outside bases the entire time. You want to trade a little bit, not terrible trades, but okay trades. You know, there's like a 1-for-1 trade, or even if you lose 1.5 times as much as your opponent, you will be fine. Like, this is a fantastic move. We kill this base, you deny the fourth base, and you could say we're happy. You could also say, I want to kill a couple of tanks here, see if I can get a better trade out, and then do that. I would never recommend just going again until you lose everything. Like, this is just the wrong objective to have. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Hey, this is like going bungee jumping, and then after the first time you did it, and you're like, you survived, you got your adrenaline, you're like, all right, now let's try it, you know, with a rope that is a little bit less bouncy. And you just keep going, like, less bouncy and less bouncy until it's just a regular rope, and you drop down and your leg comes off. Is bungee jumping when you're tied around the leg? Maybe like around the waist? Like, in the end, like, your body just splatters apart because of the impact. It's like, you shouldn't keep going until you die. You should just, like, you should keep going like when your goal is achieved. Like, unless your goal is death, this is a bad play to go for. Like, we lack complete we just lack objectives over here. We also haven't seen a single Viper out, by the way. Yes, you cannot use abducts on tanks, but guess what? There's freaking Thors here. There's Liberators you can abduct. Blinding Cloud still works as well. Like, 2 tanks together like this. Throw a Blinding Cloud on top of that. You know, the tanks can shoot. They're blind. That's what a Blinding Cloud does. They can't shoot. You can't shoot anymore. We now have Ghost on the way as well. Here we go once more with a big fight. Wanted to go for the tanks here. Decides to ignore them instead. Just goes for this base. Kills the one tank. Kills the base. We're done. We move back now. And yeah, this is perfect. This is the first time that Dvorak managed to take a fight and not completely throw away the lead right after. It's like, okay, you achieved what you needed to achieve. You denied the fourth base. Your opponent's income is like 800 minerals a minute right now. This is completely impossible to build an army of, right? If you just keep taking fights that are okay, you take out 3 tanks and you clear this fourth base forever, there's never going to be an army that will cross the 140 supply barrier here. It's just not going to be possible. So you just kind of rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. This was perfect. Now, ideally when you're playing this type of kind of high momentum style, which is what it usually would be because you're constantly going, you'd be slightly higher in the worker count because you want better eco than your opponent. Significantly better eco than your opponent, so you can take even worse trades and still be fine. That is not quite what Dvorak is doing here. Dvorak also doesn't have energy for Blinding Clouds for whatever reason. Okay, needs a little bit more energy, then we can go in here, I think. Yeah, there we go. 2-3 Blinding Clouds. I think you can probably just kill this base as well. Okay, here we go. He's gonna try to use abducts on these tanks, or what's the play here? He's like, oh, it doesn't work. What the hell? That's weird. Press like the F12 hotkeys, like help. What the hell? Thought this would work. Goes back. It's like, okay, abduct doesn't work. I guess there's nothing I can do anymore. I mean, this base could still get killed, no? Like, all these tanks are super vulnerable. These barracks are gonna do absolutely nothing. 7 tanks on the left side or something. Why did they make siege tanks immune to abduct? This is the type of person I would love to have in my team. You know, when things are going horribly wrong, this is the type of mindset you want to have. It's just the complaining before you've even lost. I had people like this in my football team growing up in the past. We'd be winning like 3-0, and then you'd make a mistake in the defense, and you'd be like, why the hell would you let the guy come past? Like, what's wrong with you? It's like, is this really, you know, what we want to be focusing on right now? Instead of trying to figure out a way to make sure it doesn't happen. Like, he's 5 times faster than I am. because I'm slow as hell. Maybe, you know, we could change our formation a little bit or something. It's like, no, just flame your ally. Or in this case, flame Blizzard, who isn't even in this game. And then start using Banelings on rocks. That's probably going to improve your situation a lot. Banelings on rocks is a proven, scientifically accurate thing to do. Double Spire, I actually like this. This is problem solving. It's like, hey, I'm playing against a lot of tanks. Maybe I can get some Brood Lords. Now, what would have been better, obviously, is just using the Blinding Cloud, and maybe maxing out also could have been quite useful. Taking slightly more gases, because the limiting resource obviously is going to be gas in the future here. We're pretty much in this weird situation where the Terran is creating a much better army than the opponent. Vipers still haven't been used, and we just continue mining. And now we're taking this base. Like, I don't think money is going to be the issue this game. I think the army is going to be the issue this game. So we're going to get a couple more Thors out. We're now getting 13 Swarm Host. Swarm Host also is like a very high momentum unit. So if you would have built the 13 Swarm Host like, let's say, 9 minutes ago when you're up 90 supply, I think you win guaranteed 100%. At this point, there is such a large army defensively that I am afraid that after the first wave, the Terran is going to pick up everything, move across the map, and instantly win the game. Because the actual army supply that can fight is already quite low. Like 31 Hydras are not necessarily the greatest thing you can have against 12 tanks. Especially if you don't want to use Blinding Clouds. But like Swarm Host, 13 Swarm Host, that's a lot of supply that is not being used into a fighting army. We have a Lurker then, Ultra Cavern, Greater Spire on the way. I like it. Making sure that you have all options open rather than thinking about what the best option might be. Here comes the Swarm Host waves. Going to use 7 of the Swarm Host at a time. And this is actually going to deal some damage, isn't it? Come on, hello? You can drop on top of the tanks. There you go. Okay, it's going to get 2 tanks. I mean, it's really not the end of the world. And indeed, we get an instant unsiege here. Now, we still have 6 Swarm Hosts that can send their Locust in as well. I'm not sure why this wasn't done all at the same time. I also would have loved to go for this area, but maybe that's just me. Oh, here we go. Ah, no detection. I guess the ghosts have only been out for 5 minutes. So Cloak was difficult to predict here, obviously. Let's run forward a bit. Now 6 Corruptors come in and 7 Overseers. And the Swarm Host once again. I love that there's like no worry about where we're going with these Swarm Hosts. It's like usually you want to find isolated units because they're really weak against Locust, right? But our good friend Dvorak over here decides that it doesn't really matter because it's free anyway. Like, why get a good trade when you can get a trade that is still okay? You know, why do you want to kill more when you also can kill little? Well, because if you kill little, your opponent can move across the map and go and destroy you. I bet the one thing, like if you're Dvorak in this situation, that you can be really happy about is that you have so much creep on the far left side of the map right now. I think that is such a blessing in disguise, right? As we get a fantastic fight here for the Terran player, despite being unsieged. Vipers flew in without using any spells, by the way. No Blinding Clouds were used in that fight. No Terran units were harmed in this battle. And you think like Dvorak like looks back at his game, it's like, man, this freaking tumor here. It's like, without that, imagine how poor that fight would have been. It's like, yeah, it would have gone exactly the same. Surround was unironically quite well executed. I actually think it was quite decent. I'm also not entirely sure about going Broodlord Corruptor into an army that now consists of pure anti-Broodlord units. It's like Viking Thor Ghost. Like there's no tanks remaining at this point. I think getting something like Lings or having Infestors with Neural Parasite against Thors would be sick to have. Like there's no Hellbats whatsoever in this composition except this one dude that's out there. Like you're fighting against an Roaches. You're fighting against an army that has like no anti-ground really. Or like no serious anti-ground. Like the Thors are decent against Roaches because of their armor types. I think with Ling, Hydra, Infestor, you would have absolutely cleared this. Lurkers, unironically, not that bad either if you have Seismic Spines, which are here. Because they're quite fine against Thors and Hellbats. So you can like secure an area and then maybe try to base trade or something. I'm also kind of sad to have seen the Swarm Host move commanded into the opponent. Now gonna go in with Ultra Roach, Corruptor. This guy built Corruptors just to give the Vikings something to shoot at, which is a very cool move, if it wasn't so bad. Lurkers in the back, maybe could also still run in further forward. Love to see it. All Corruptors have now officially died. No, that's not true. There's still 2 alive. Yeah, these Lurkers are honestly quite good. Like, they're obviously by themselves. They're eventually gonna die to the Liberators, but if you have an army with it, like, they can be quite decent. It's hard to move in. Like, you can see that the Terran here is struggling. Like, these 3 Lurkers are doing more than all the 500 tumors that have been built on the map. See, like, this is tricky to go into. Now, if you were to go for, like, let's say, Ravager Ling Bane army or something like this, and you can come from multiple sides, maybe have some Blinding Clouds in the mix as well, I think this is a completely beatable army. Like, actually a completely beatable army. As these Lurkers are now going to get cleared. And all the money has disappeared. 43,000 resources lost against 23,000. Has it been frustrating that Abduct wasn't playable in this game? Absolutely. You know, there were definitely situations, that one situation that we had over here with the Hydras, where he tried to go for Abducts, where I was like, okay, if you have Abducts there, you get 2 tanks for free. And then you can probably keep doing it and keep getting 2 tanks for free over time. And it's probably... It is definitely going to help. I'm not saying you would have won the game, because in the end, I think the big picture of crafting an army that doesn't kill your opponent's army is probably a much bigger issue. I feel like there's too much focus here on the Viper. There's definitely too much focus on creep spread, but also too much focus on the Viper there. And you're kind of forgetting about the fact that the Viper has a very effective spell still against Terran units in Blinding Cloud, against mech units in Blinding Cloud, especially against a player that is so poor at splitting up the tanks. Like, many times, 2-3 Blinding Clouds would have completely wiped the tank line if you would have gone in with a decent attack. Like, I'll say this. I think it's weird that the Viper can't abduct tanks, and I think it's very frustrating many times that the Viper cannot abduct tanks. But in the end, you lost the fight to an army that consisted of unsieged tanks, Thors, Hellbat, Viking, Liberator, and you just didn't have the army to deal with it. You also had the army to deal with your opponent many times before, and you just didn't set up good engagements. You didn't go for the right objectives. So, is it annoying that you can't abduct them? Absolutely. But adapt to the situation a little bit and take better fights. Like, this was 100% winnable, this game. Is Terran mech imbalanced? I don't think so. Did you suck? Yes. I'm sorry, man. You suck. All right, it's going to be it for me today for today's episode of Is It Imba or Do I Suck? Do you think you have imbalances in the new patch? Be sure to send it with the form down below here, because I think there's some crazy stuff in this patch. I haven't got to the complaints about it yet in my inbox. I've been surprised. I say, wow, this looks crazy. No one sent it to me. What can I do about it? You know? I can't complain if you guys don't complain. So that's going to be it for me today. Thanks also for much for watching, and bye-bye.